Hey guys, Chris from Survival Dispatch. I'm out here today with John and our magician Nikki, who makes all this video look so good. We're gonna be spending the night out here and shooting some videos for you guys, and I'm gonna be staying in a hammock. So I just wanted to do a quick video on the stuff for the hammock, for hammock camping. So I'm using an Eagle's Nest Outfitters hammock, their bug net, which, you know, in Florida is an absolute must. Their straps, and today I'm going to try out this 5-star gear tarp over the top of it. So this is a new piece of kit for me. 5-star gear is a pretty cool little company. I wanted to give it a shot and see what it's like. So, all right guys, so we're gonna use the Eagle's Nest Outfitters straps to put this up. I think this is one of the greatest things that ever happened to hammock camping. Obviously, we got away from the ropes and stuff and got these awesome straps we can use. They're so easy to put up. Super rugged, sturdy, strong. I love these things, and they make them in different sizes too. This is a really small, like a 3/4 width. I think I have a 1 inch as well. I'm just going to use the 3/4 today, but I like to put my straps when I start right about eyeball level for me. So that's what I pick. And the beautiful thing about hammock camping is we don't have to worry about level ground or straight trees even. It really doesn't matter. You just don't want a tree that's too thin and leaning too hard, of course, because it might fall when you put it up. But I'm going to put my strap up here right about eyeball level. Pull it on out. There we go. And for the other side of the hammock, I'm going to use this little magnolia tree here. So we'll get this strap up. And you can tell on these too, you have the loops are closer to 1/2 of this strap than the other. And depending on the distance that you may need to cover will dictate which end of that you may want to use. I've had to do them both ways depending on where I'm hanging. Since I've got a pretty big distance here, I'm guessing somewhere around 10 feet between these trees, I want my loops towards the far end of the strap. So I'm using the end with no loops at the tree. And again, right about eye level, pull it through, just give it a cinch, good to go. And in a minute here, we'll hook the hammock up and talk about what we want to do before we start putting the tarp and bug net and stuff like that up. All right, so now we're gonna string the hammock up. And like I said, this is an E&O or Eagle Nest Outfitters, and there's a lot of different hammock brands on the market. This is just one. I just like these. And I like the modularity of this style system. You know, there's the Hennessy's out there that have the net built in and everything. I prefer to have one with individual pieces so I can set it up as I want it. So just gonna take the carabiners, clip them in. Super easy. It's one of the things I like about these hammocks. And well, and here we go. So right here's a prime example of what I was talking about a minute ago about where we may want these loops. So as you see, I'm on the top loop on that end, and the top loop on this end puts my hammock about that height. Now when I get in this thing and load test it, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 inches off the ground. That's not going to work. So I'm actually going to reverse this strap real quick. And put all these loops at the top. And what that'll do is give me a little more room to get this hammock higher off the ground. Just got to get it over all the loops. All right, here we go. So see, now I have my loops up here. So what this lets me do is bring my hammock up a lot higher. We'll start with that right there. So there we go. So that's what I was saying earlier about which end of the strap you put up. Sometimes you may want to put this end around the tree. In this case, we need this end around the tree just because of the distance between them. So that raises it higher off the ground. And this is even kind of low. I may go ahead and reverse the other strap too. I like to have the hammock on the initial setup right about this high. And that may sound high, but remember, when I get in it for the first time, I'm going to put a little stretch to things. You know, I have a pretty profound effect on gravity, or gravity has a pretty profound effect on me. So I'm going to stretch this thing down some, and it's going to go quite a bit. So I'm going to reverse that strap real quick and get this thing a little higher off the ground, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, guys, so I reversed that strap. Now, as you can see, the hammock's a lot higher off the ground. Remember, before it was way down here. So like I said, I want it higher off the ground because the first time you get into it, you're going to put some stretch into the hammock. And there it goes. So now this is about the right height. This is about where I'll sleep off the ground. And again, you can see I can reach down and touch the ground. I'm not that far off. And the other thing too is you don't want to be so far off the ground that you can't get your feet on the ground to stand up. If you put your hammock too high, when you try to get out, your feet are going to dangle. And that makes it nigh impossible to get out of one of these things when you can't get a foot actually onto the ground. I mean, you can do it, but it's pretty tough. So right now, once it's been set up and load been put to it, it's about hip high. That's about where I like it. So in a minute here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put up a ridgeline and get ready to put the bug net and the hammock up. They have to kind of go in order. You need to do the bug net first, and then we'll do the tarp. Or I said hammock, didn't I? So we're gonna do the bug net and then the tarp. All right, guys, now we're gonna get this bug net put up. And again, this is the Eagle's Nest bug net. I like this thing. It's really nice, especially in Florida where a bug net is kind of an absolute must. Now, I put the hammock up, but the reason I do that is to establish my height. But to put the bug net up, I actually have to thread it onto the hammock. So I will take it loose from one end to do that. And then I've got to get the ridgeline put up. You've got to make sure when you do that, that it's low enough so that when you actually put weight on the hammock, that you're not pulling on the bug net. You don't want to be stretching on the bug net because this is going to be hanging from the ridgeline that holds your tarp up as well. So if you're pulling that ridgeline down, your tarp's going to be sagging and everything else in the world. So it is a little bit of a calculated effort to get this thing put on, but it's not that difficult. They do include this little line here. This is a lot smaller than 550 cord, as you can tell. This is like a what, 1/8 inch, I guess, cord that comes with the bug net. The reason they include it is the little clips that the ridgeline goes onto. This runs through here. They're not really big enough for 550 cord, and that's kind of a pain. You can get them on there, but they're not like super secure. So you can either use this or you can use 550 cord and just kind of force them in there. There's a little eye in here. The 550 almost fits in, but just not quite. I prefer the 550 cord. This is just a little bit small diameter for me personally to want a ridgeline for my tarp to be supported from. So instead of using that little cord there, we're gonna run with some 550 cord. So we'll get the ridgeline put up real quick. And again, this is something too that will probably have to be adjusted once or twice to get it right. And I'm trying to put a knot in here that will actually turn loose of itself so I don't have to cut it later. So I'm just going to use some hitches, I think. Because I hate putting up 550 cord and then having to cut it to get it down, because it's just a waste to me. Because 550 cord is so damn handy for everything that I like to be able to use it again and again. There we go. So now we'll run this out. And as you can see, I'm working from a 500 foot, what's left of a 500 foot roll here. And so I'm gonna cut it off right about here. And then since it is 550, I'm gonna go ahead and torch the ends of it with my little Exotac lighter that we'll do a video on this weekend here as well while we're out here. This little lighter's pretty cool. So there we go. Let that cool just a bit so I don't get molten lava on my arm when I go to put this thing up. All right, so I'm going to use the trucker's hitch here. This is a loop that you can put in a line that will pull out later out of your paracord. Instead of doing like an overhand, you know, where you double it up and then do an overhand knot, that's pretty much going to be there forever. This thing will actually pull loose when I'm done later. So get this thing set to height, put some tension on it. You know what? We're even going to do a little bit different. Nah, we'll go with that. Put some tension on it, nice and tight, and then I'll just throw some hitches in here to hold it. There we go. And one more with the loop. So there we go. Now we got the ridge line up. We got to see if we've got our elevation right now for our bug net. So like I said, we have to thread the bug net on from one end. And as you can see, there is a zipper in the middle of this thing for entry. I want to be getting in and out of my hammock on this side, so I'm going to make sure that my zipper is on this side of the hammock. And so we'll just unclip right here, and we'll pull this thing through. Let me open it up. Where's my hammock? There's my zipper. Reach in here and grab it, and just thread it on. There's one side, and here's the other side. Now, if you want, you can do this before you go to put your hammock up. Throw the hammock inside of it, pull the carabiners out, and then just let it lay there. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You're going to get it on one way or another. I just like to be able to put my hammock up and load test it before I throw the bug net on. So there we go, bug net. Pull it down, and we've still got stuff inside the hammock. So we're going to throw the 550 cord out. Get it to the ends, and there are, we'll show you better from here. There's a drawstring with a lock here, as well as a tie. So I could tie it either to my strap or to the tree I'm hanging off of to keep it at the end of the hammock. In this case, I'm just going to wrap it around the carabiner so it can't slide any farther than that. And I'll just throw a hitch in it right there. That way the bug net stays at that end of the hammock and no creepy crawlies can get in. We'll do the same thing down here. We'll cinch it up and throw us a loop around here with a little hitch just to keep it from moving. All right, now is when these lines are going to come into play we were talking about. And we may have to move this up even farther actually. So we're going to get the first clip on. There we go. And once the 550's taut, you know, once you put some pressure on it, it likes the clips like it a little bit better. See, now we can move that up. Once you start getting things put up in place, you can see what you've got. We're going to move this down here just a little bit and then tighten it back up as well. So as you see, we've got plenty of room below the hammock so that when I get in it, I'm not going to be touching the bottom of the hammock. The other trick too though is right here. This end has a lot of pressure against the strap. So what I'm going to have to do is move my Ridgeline down just a little bit to take some of that pressure off. Because again, when I get in here, I'm going to be pulling on this thing. You know, it's going to pull on this end as well. And I don't really want my the bug net to be getting tugged on. So there we go. Bug net's up. Zip it up to keep the bugs out. It's the whole purpose of it. And that's how we hang the bug net with the hammock. And in a minute, we'll set up and I'll get the tarp put up as well, which is going to be a little tricky because I'm close to a tree, but we were kind of tight on trees out here, but we'll get it up anyway. All right, guys, so we're going to hang the tarp real quick. Like I said, this is the 5-star gear tarp. I like this thing. It's a little heavier than some of your like siliconized nylon tarps and such, but I like it that it's a little heavier. It's a little more durable. It also has a loop, nylon loop and a grommet hole in each corner. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, and at the midway points too. So your 4 corners and your halfway mark has loops and grommets. Just makes it a lot easier to put the thing up. I'm going to use some aluminum stakes that I carry. I mean, you know, some people want to make them. That's great. I like to carry them. Just less time I got to spend getting things ready. And I'm going to use this cord with these figure 9s. I love these things. They're great for putting up tarps, securing something with a line, just super fast. No knots. You loop this thing, you put it in place, you're done. So super quick. But hang on, we'll get the tarp set up real quick. All right, so we're going to get the tarp set up here. The one thing about using the bug net that I don't like is it necessitates having the tarp so close to the hammock. I prefer it a little taller, but this is Florida. It is summertime, and I don't feel like waking up anemic in the morning, so I'm gonna use the bug net today. So get the tarp stretched out, and you want to follow the corner out. You know, I don't want to put this stake over here because then I'm pulling the wrong direction. So let me toss this other stake and cord over there. We'll use those in a minute. I'll go ahead and put the cord through here just so I can hold tension on it while I plant my stake. So now I can see kind of where I need to be pulling, and it looks like somewhere around here, right about here, let's say. And I'm just going to put a little loop right here to hold this in. Just a slip knot, no big deal. It's not going to have that much tension against it. And then I'm going to wrap around my stake and come up with the figure 9. This thing here, I'm going to catch it back here. I'm going to go around it and then lock it in. Done. Tension on that side. Now we'll do the front side. All right, so the same thing here. I'm just going to throw a little loop knot on this end, slip knot. Let it close against the tag there, and just pull out again with the corner. I want to be coming out kind of straight with this corner. So it looks here, looks about right. Stick our stake down. We're going to wrap around it. This ground is super soft. And then I'm going to catch my figure 9. It's so tight, I'm having a hard time with it. Here we go. Whoop, thought I had it. Get on there with you. There we go. And there we go. Now the tarp's tight. My shelter's up. I'll stay dry for the night. And there's our hammock construction right there. Pretty simple. You know, it doesn't take as long to put up as it does to put up a tent, I think. And again, doesn't matter if it's uneven ground. Doesn't matter what the trees are like. This is especially handy in Florida because number one, you could hang this in a swamp and have a dry place to sleep. And number two, the ground here is just crawling with critters. Up north, a lot of you folks may not have quite the issue we have with the bugs down here, but sleeping on the ground exposed is always a bad idea in Florida. So a hammock with a bug net, dry, I'll sleep comfortable because I'm not going to be eaten alive. And I'll be good to go for the night. The only other thing I'm going to do is throw an air mattress in my hammock. I do like to do that. I have a small backpacking one that I put in the hammock just to add comfort. So, but there we go. Hammock shelter for the night.